İşte tam da bulunduğumuz bu noktayı tarif etmeye çalışıyorduk.
I've never liked helicopters. Well, I guess when I was a kid, like I would have little Lego toys and there would be like a little Lego helicopters or shit, but I would never get in one of these things. I'm sorry. I remember Kobe. Like, I just don't like the way they fly. But they don't even fly. They like hover and they tilt all the way up like this. Like, I would never get in one of those fucking things. And apparently this guy, the guy that was piloting the president of Iran's aircraft, he decided he wanted to fly through a foggy mountainous area. I'm no pilot, but if I recall correctly from years and years of video game experience, that is something you simply do not do. Fog and mountains do not work. Play any flight simulator, you will die. And whoever is traveling with you will die. So, highly inadvisable. People have been saying that this is a conspiracy, like, oh, the Israelis did it, Mossad did it. And has Mossad carried out operations within Iran in the past? Yes. Has America murdered one of Iran's top ranking generals, Qasem Soleimani? Yes, we have. But Iranians are not like, they're human beings, just like everybody else. Like, they can die in plane crashes or car crashes. Like, whenever people see something that's taking place in a troubled part of the world, they immediately rush to attribute it to some type of foreign violence. And yes, foreign violence has taken place in Iran on several occasions, but this is not that. Even the Iranian government isn't laying this at the feet of Mossad. They're laying this at the feet of a possibly inexperienced helicopter pilot in a dangerous aircraft. I saw something earlier that says that Iran has a shortage of uh, of aircraft repair parts. Like, this was an accident, a very horrible, very tragic accident. It's always sad when somebody dies violently, but I mean that's the way of the world. Shit happens. You can literally climb into your car on your way to work and never make it home. Uh, Methods of conveyance nowadays are extremely dangerous. I'd rather have a horse, to be quite honest, even though they shit everywhere. Like, they couldn't even get up here. Like, this looks like fucking Vietnam. Like, they had no business flying a fucking helicopter. But there's not even anything left of the fucking helicopter, it looks like. There's very little left that's broken in many pieces.
دقیقاً جایی هستم که بالگرد حامل آقای رئیس جمهور و همراهانشون در اینجا دچار سانحه شده. آخ دلم منو تنها نگذاره علم دارم.
I always wonder about like these big crowds. Like, does the government make people attend these things? I wonder this a lot about North Korea too. Like, do people that show up at these things out of their free will spontaneously to mourn the president, or do they just like, does the government make them come to these things? Like, if you don't show up and cry because the president died, like, do they cane you or spank you or something? Same thing in North Korea. Like, do you get in trouble at work if you're sick that day and you don't show up to whatever mass rally they're having? Yeah, but people actually liked Tito. Who the fuck likes Kim Jong-un? Except for weird Western British old men.
Evet, şu anda İran Cumhurbaşkanı'nı taşıyan burada birçok parçaya bölündüğünü görüyoruz. O da ne kadar
Apparently this guy was really well liked in Iran though.
parçalarını şu anda haber ekranlarında görüyorsunuz. Evet.
The Koreans like Kim Jong-un. I can understand them liking his granddad or even his dad, but like him, I mean, you also have like an entire narrative of infallibility built up around the guy. So maybe you're right. Live updates: Iran's president and foreign minister killed in helicopter crash. So, yeah, this is basically equivalent to something like this happening to the United States president and the Secretary of State. Although most people would agree that that would be a net gain for the world, but I digress. So this guy, Mohammed Mokbar, is Iran's first vice president. They apparently have a second and third vice president. I wish we had a second and third vice president. I wish we had a parliamentary system, to be honest. I would have a chance of being elected to office. And he's going to be the country's acting president until elections are held. Why do Americans just have a random ass eagle on the passport? Because we like eagles. That's our national bird. Oh, what is Serbia's national bird? The carrion crow, the vulture. U.S. offers condolences and support for Iran. In a support statement published Monday, the U.S. State Department offered official condolences for the victims of the helicopter crash that killed Iran's president and others. It added that as Iran selects a new president, we reaffirm our support for the Iranian people in their struggle for human rights and fundamental freedom. So even in the midst of offering solidarity and support, you still have to throw some fucking shade in. Typical Yankees. I apologize on behalf of my people for our stupidity. But the stupidest thing that I saw after this happened was like Israelis were saying shit like, this is because of the God of Israel, or like literally hoping that Mossad had killed the president of the third. Does Saudi Arabia count as a regional superpower? I guess it does. But the second or third regional superpower, like if that happened, like your country would no longer exist. Like, you know that, right? Like, you know that, right? Like, if there was even an inkling that Israel had something to do with the death of this guy, like, you literally murdered the president of a foreign country, a very powerful foreign country at that. Like, that would be like if America did something to Putin or Xi Jinping. Like, it wouldn't be a good time. Like, what I have never seen a country that seems so fucking intent on going down in a blaze of glory. Like, never. Like, these people seem to have a mass psychosis or something. They have a mass psychosis that, like, oh, you're going to take us down. We're going to take you all down with us. Like, it seems like they have an entirely fucked up national martyrdom complex. I guess that's what happens when you teach an entire country full of subpar, mediocre people that they're really special and that they are the biblical inheritors of this little hank of land that belongs to somebody else. Hey, comrade, this is the perfect chance for the people of Iran to wage people's war. What do you think about the situation inside of Iran? Well, I will never endeavor to tell the Iranian people when is the right time to wage people's war, considering it's going to be them dying and not me. And I would urge Westerners to not, like, be so fucking... Like, you cannot, like, this isn't a chess game. Like, we can't just move Iranians around like pieces on a board. If they want a revolution, they're going to make one. The only say in whether or not a country has a revolution belongs to the people of that country themselves. It doesn't belong to us. Like, the Iranians are going to ask, why haven't you guys made revolution yet? Like, your country is literally oppressing us. We've lived under sanctions for years. My baby fucking starved to death because of your country and its sanctions. But you're going to say it's time for us to make a protracted people's war. Go fuck yourself. That's what an Iranian would say. Rightfully so. They had a saying during the Vietnam era. American leftists are willing to fight to the last drop of Vietnamese blood. Biden was invited to what's basically the most historically black of all historically black colleges, Morehouse University in Atlanta, Georgia. He graduated Martin Luther King, among other luminaries, and he was allowed to profane its sacred halls with his washed out Irishness. Let's see what he has to say. So you've got a big Congo flag back here. The Congolese comrades have told me it's simply Congo, not the Congo. So that's how I'm going to be referring to it from now on.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. President Thomas.
Who the fuck is this other white dude? Like, why do you have all these white dudes at this thing? Like, why? This is supposed to be a holy event. This is supposed to be the realization of all of your ancestors' hopes and dreams, and you're just going to fucking pervert it with the presence of the honkoid.
Faculty, staff, alumni, and a special thanks. I'll ask all the folks.
Also, iron your flags, folks. or like spray them with fabric release spray or something, wrinkle release spray rather. Like, I use this on my clothes. What is Biden trying to accomplish? He's trying to pander and get reelected like all politicians are. But yeah, I just despise, that's a pet peeve of mine. I despise seeing fucking wrinkled up. Like, you literally just took this out of the package, you ordered it off Amazon. Okay, that's fine. I don't care where you order it from. But you ordered this off Amazon, it came in this little bitty sealed package, and you unwrapped it, it's folded into a square, and you unwrap it, and it makes a bunch of little tiny baby squares. Just run an iron over it.
Who helped you get here? Your mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers. All those who got you here. All the way in the...
And the most insulting thing about this was that Biden is literally a segregationist. Biden is probably literally responsible for half of these kids' parents or uncles or cousins being locked up for the rest of their natural lives. And he has the fucking gall to stand up here and talk about people's ancestors. Like, bro, you are literally responsible for the suffering of our ancestors.
Back, please.
HBCUs are loaded with Caucasoid professors. You know, Albert Einstein actually taught at one. Yeah, I believe he taught at Lincoln University. Either Lincoln or Howard. But he taught free of charge because he came over here as a Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany. And yeah, he aligned very closely with black people in the United States. Albert Einstein was a socialist. He wasn't a Marxist-Leninist. He wasn't a communist of any type, but he had very, very progressive social views. He also helped make the atom bomb. So.
Parents, grandparents, all will help. Stand up, because we owe you a debt of gratitude.
What we? You're a guest.
To all the family.
If this was 1971, this man would be afraid to set foot on that fucking campus. Like, this is literally where Samuel L. Jackson held Martin Luther King's dad hostage.
That is not hyperbole. A lot of you, like my family, had to make significant sacrifices to get...
What do you mean your family? Your dad was a fucking used car salesman. Why are you comparing yourself to us? Were your people slaves?
Get your kids to school. It mattered. It's mattered a lot. And the friends of Morehouse and the Morehouse men of the class of 2024. I got more Morehouse men in the White House telling me what to do than I know what to do. You all think I'm kidding, don't you? You know I'm not. And it's the best thing that's happened to me. Scripture says, the prayers of a righteous man availeth much.
You're not a righteous man.
In Augusta, Georgia, a righteous man once enslaved set foot for freedom. The story goes, he feared no evil. He walked through the valley of the shadow of death on his way north to free soil in Philadelphia. A Baptist minister, he walked with faith in his soul, power in the steps of his feet to glory. But after the Union won the war, he knew his prayers availed him freedom that was not his alone. And so this righteous man, Richard Coulter, returned home, his feet weary, his spirit in no ways tired.
My feet is weary and my spirit is tired just from 2 minutes of this shit.
Funded by viewers like you.
Let's listen to some people who actually matter.
As we speak, working around the clock to lead an international effort to get more aid into Gaza, rebuild Gaza.
President Biden's address came just days after his administration notified Congress of its plans to send another $1 billion in arms to Israel, including tank ammunition, mortars, and tactical vehicles. Some students turned their backs on President Biden to protest his Gaza policies. The Morehouse valedictorian, D'Angelo Fletcher, who had a Palestinian flag affixed to his graduation cap, called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza.
Dr. King was a global philanthropist of social justice, believing that injustice anywhere was a threat to justice everywhere. His campaign and message reached far and wide to follow in the footsteps of our great alumnus. It is only right for the class of 2024 to utilize any platform provided to stand in solidarity with peace and justice. The Israel-Gaza conflict has plagued the people of its region for generations.
This is still liberal rhetoric, but it's a shitload better than anything Biden could conjure up.
It is important to recognize that both sides have suffered heavy casualties in the wake of October 7th. From the comfort of our homes,
He's no communist, but he's on the right track.
we watch an unprecedented number of civilians mourn the loss of men, women, and children, while calling for the release of all hostages. For the first time in our lives, we've heard the global community sing one harmonious song that transcends language and culture. It is my stance as a Morehouse man, nay, as a human being, to call for an immediate.
He's trying to channel both Du Bois and Dr. King at the same time. I'm here for it. Maybe I should start speaking like that.
And a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Hear the people of this world.
I don't think Biden understands like a word that this guy is saying. Oh, very, very, very smart colored fellow you are. In my day, you guys weren't allowed to go to college. You know, like, Biden's dad, if I recall correctly, was born during the Civil War. No, not during the Civil War. I think he was born in like 1890, whenever the fuck. But this guy's dad was born in the 19th century. That's how fucking old he is.
Sing the song of righteous justice. Thank you.
President Biden was seen applauding D'Angelo Fletcher's valedictory,
Because
his
he didn't understand the word the dude was saying.
call for a permanent ceasefire.
Oh, yeah. Nice words. Nice words, little colored kid. Go be a football player or something. Fuck yeah. That's new OJ. Yeah, fuck yeah. Let's don't kill your white wife.
Ceasefire in Gaza. Later on Sunday, protesters gathered in Detroit where President Biden addressed an NAACP.
So well, you might be asking, like, why is Biden hanging out with all these black people? Like, why is he at Morehouse? Why did he give the commencement speech? Why is he in fucking Detroit? Because the Democrats are in trouble with black people, right? Like, there was this poll that was conducted. 40% of young black people, like black people under 30, have no intention of voting in this election in November. See? Less than 40% of young black voters say they will vote this year. So that's a problem. So, and the thing is, like, that shit doesn't work on us. That shit might work on our parents, our grandparents. But, like, those of us who are younger, who know better, who came up during George Floyd, who came up during Ferguson for the older millennials among us, those of us who came up during this whole Palestinian shit, no, it's not working. So he's stupidly trying to shore up his reputation among black people, which is already, like, at least among younger black people, in the fucking garbage. It's not going to work. It comes off as hollow pandering, because it is hollow pandering. He went to the fucking NAACP dinner. Like, why are you there? What have you done for black people? That's why people are protesting you. And of course, you had the police that were targeting people as they were leaving the protest, and they tased a member of Detroit Will Breathe, Lloyd Simpson. I know many of their members are good people. The total number of people arrested is still being determined, as are which charges, if any, will be leveled. At least 2 Detroit Will Breathe organizers, Simpson and Matt Hollerbach, are still being held and are potentially being given felony charges. These arrests are part of an ongoing crackdown of pro-Palestine protests happening across the country, showcased in the brutal repression of Gaza solidarity encampments. The line of the regime is clearly to force the movement off the streets with targeted and arbitrary arrests, heavy charges, such as the felony charges potentially faced by Simpson and Hollerbach, and that some participants in encampments, such as the City University of New York, a heavily black and brown and working-class campus, people have been talking about, like, why are the CUNY students being repressed a lot more heavily than the Columbia students being repressed? And, like, this isn't an either or thing. Like, both are facing state repression. But when you're black and brown and you're from the community, like a lot of these kids are actually from Harlem, from the community that the college is in. Like a lot of people from Columbia, like people in Columbia are from all over the fucking world. But these kids actually have ties to New York. They were born and raised in New York City, and they are going to take the struggle for Palestine off the campuses and into the streets. The police can't allow that to happen. That's why they heavily repressed the Bay Ridge demonstration, the Nakba Day protest, which has been happening for years, if I recall correctly. And they basically beat the shit out of all of these kids. You don't believe me? I'll show you. As soon as I scroll down, because I post too fucking much. I'm a terminally online fella. But you guys need to see this, because like they were actually trying to hurt these kids. Like, look at this. This is not how you... So this guy, you got this guy, he's straddling this dude on the ground. And he's punching him in the face over and over and over and over. Then you got this guy in the green over here, this white shirt here, is going to basically smash this guy's head into the pavement. What is my opinion on the multipolar bros? No comment. Look at this. They're basically smashing this guy's face. They're smashing his temple into the ground. And you know why they're doing this? Well, for one, they're pigs. This is what pigs do. They get off on this shit. And then, like, for two, like, Eric Adams, the pig mayor, like, this guy's literally a former cop of New York City, was literally ordered by a coalition of billionaires and multimillionaires, all of whom are Zionists, to basically like start repressing these protests brutally and violently and start teaching these people a lesson. And that's what he's doing because he's a fucking puppet. That's what he does. This brings joy to my shriveled and withered little black heart. So this gay kid right here was being bullied by his classmates, and he's tired of it. So here he is preparing to teach that homosexuals, in fact, are not cowards.
Don't do it.
What's that?
Don't do it.
What's that?
Elijah, don't do it.
Come on, bitch. Come on. Come on.
Even the teacher's like, you know what? Fuck it.
What's that? Come on.
World star.
Oh, yeah.
You know, normally I'm opposed to pictures and videos of black people hurting each other, but whatever that dude did, like, that was a rage-filled ass whipping. So, whatever happened, he brought that on himself. He was a hetero man, very aware that gays are not the best people to pick fights with. Guess he learned that. This is the revolution. Somebody was asking about the Revolutionary Communist Party. It's basically a rebranding of the Trotskyist, ortho-Trotskyist IMT. Yes, the teacher did just watch it. I guess he decided that that fucking asshole in the skinny jeans needed a lesson. So this is what they have to say about the glorious, protracted People's War and Revolution in the Philippines. Filipino workers and youth have experienced the bitter failures of liberal bourgeoisie, as well as the bankruptcy of the Communist Party of the Philippines, as class collaborationist leader Jose Maria Sison rests in power, and Stalinism in general. Okay, first of all, if you know anything about Maoists, we are not Stalinists. We actually have very, very sharp critiques of Comrade Stalin. Like, you can uphold somebody generally, but you could also critique shit that went wrong. And if you know anything about our OG, Mao, he didn't necessarily get along with Stalin all the time. As a matter of fact, most of the time he didn't get along with Stalin. He called Stalin the fake foreign devil that forbid us to make the revolution. Stalin literally tried to divide China into two countries, like the Americans did North and South Korea. He wanted to give the South to Chiang Kai-shek and the Kuomintang, and he wanted to give the North to the Chinese Communist Party. First of all, that's imperialist as fuck. You can't just divide up other people's countries. And then for two, go fuck yourself. There was also a squabble over a railroad that went all the way back to the Tsarist era. So when we talk about the Sino-Soviet split, I'm perfectly of the opinion that we can trace it back to the Stalin era in the 30s and 40s and his meddling in the internal affairs of China and the Chinese Communist Party. Anyways, I digress. Who cares about Trotskyites? It's 2024, not 1940. You have the privilege, my friend, of living in Serbia. I have the privilege of living in the West, where Trotskyites hold quite a bit of sway. The immediate task of left-wing workers and youth in the Philippines is winning a party of their own. They have a party of their own. They also have an army of their own. It's called the New People's Army, with a revolutionary program. I hate Trots. I hate Trots. Like, at one point in my life, I felt sorry for these people. Shit, at one point in my life, I would have even identified as a Trotskyite. But now, like, after I met actual Trotsks, these are just the most arrogant, do-nothing, self-righteous motherfuckers that you could ever hope to run across. with whom do Trotskyites have sway? They have like 2,000 parties, all with one member each. I mean, that's still quite a few more parties than any Maoists have in the West. Protracted People's War and Arms Struggle. Our approach to liberate Palestine and smash Zionism, from the PFLP. So it looks like they're going back to their Maoist roots. Yesterday was Malcolm X's birthday. It was also Lorraine Hansberry, Yuri Kochiyama, Kathy Boudin, and Ho Chi Minh. May 19th was an auspicious day for revolutionaries. So this is where, like, this general area is where the president of Iran crashed. That's a rain system. So, yeah, not a good time. I don't know what that pilot was thinking, that, well, yeah, I'm just going to fly through this, but yeah. This is Malcolm X as a baby. For some reason, I can still tell that's Malcolm X. Cute kid. China's Reds say Malcolm X was slain by imperialists. He was. A Peking newspaper declared today that American ruling circles and racists murdered Malcolm X, whom it depicted as a martyr in a Negro's fight against the U.S. reactionary forces. Rimin Ripao, Jimin Jipao, official, I think in Chinese, J's aren't R's pronounced as J or something like that. I don't know. I don't speak Mandarin. Official organ of the Chinese Communist Party declared in an editorial, the blood of Malcolm X will not have been shed in vain. American Negroes will undoubtedly realize from his murder that in dealing with imperialist oppressors, violence must be met with violence, as Malcolm X himself taught. The editorial represented Malcolm X as an advocate of violence and said that he had become a thorn in the side of U.S. rulers. The murder of Malcolm X indicates that they are prepared to use any despicable means to intimidate American Negroes and quell their struggle. China would remain silent today. I wouldn't say that they would remain silent. They would use it as fodder in their ongoing struggle with rival Yankee imperialism. Communism is allowed in Russia. Nostalgia for the Soviet welfare state and superpower status with ultranationalism thrown in isn't communism. So this is a Dr. Andrew Douglas.
67. When he turned,
helping to demonstrate against Biden's commencement.
Increasingly to disruptive protest. He called for labor strikes, even a general strike. He called for...
What do I think of the new Black Panther Party? Well, you already explained it. They're a reactionary bunch. They even jumped on Dhoruba bin Wahad, who is a Black Panther Party and Black Liberation Army veteran. And yeah, that's why, like, a lot of these wannabe Black Panthers reborn, they're nothing but reactionaries, that many of these people haven't even studied theory. They don't know anything about what they're talking about. They haven't even read the OGs. They haven't read Huey. They haven't read Fred. They haven't read Bobby Seale. They haven't read any of the Panther biographies. They just like the name. They like the look. They like the aesthetic. And they like the fact that you get to call yourself a Black Panther and play around with guns. No.
A movement.
They don't do any community support work. They don't do any mutual aid. They don't do any mass work. They don't do any community investigation. They don't build coalitions. They break up coalitions and they attack the masses. Why the fuck would I support them?
A poor people's movement on Washington, D.C. that was intended to shut down the city. He wanted to set up an encampment to shut down D.C. We're listening to Biden in the context of a historic student movement against imperialism in our time now, smearing student protesters, arguing against the thesis that King put forward in the letter from Birmingham jail, saying that order is more important than justice.
Fuck order.
And he's coming to Morehouse College. In this moment, it's unthinkable. So I just want to thank all of you for carrying on the legacy of Dr. King. I want to thank my students and my faculty colleagues for carrying on that legacy. Free Palestine.
So he didn't go completely unchallenged. No, he didn't go unchallenged at all. This is how they think. Like, this guy literally thinks that we're stupid. So he's going to tell people in Morehouse, I want to say this very clearly. I support peaceful, nonviolent protest. I'm working around the clock for more than just a ceasefire. I'm working to bring the region together. I'm working to make sure we finally get a two-state solution. Then he goes ahead with more than $1 billion in weapon sales to Israel. And, of course, they're going to bring out all the black cops from Morehouse.
Betray it! Somebody's going to give a command today. They're going to say, attack. They're going to say, attack them. For they are violent. For they
So this is Mary Hooks at the Movement for Black Lives.
have caused disorder.
He's trying his best to ignore her. But I could tell, like, this dude right here, like, I could tell she's getting to him.
You must be concerned about who you are willing to take orders from. And did you just not see? Many of you, if you took that badge off, if you disarmed and took these pants off, and you looked just like any one of us, they'd come for you in the morning. And y'all know that to be true. When they give you the order, be fucking bold. Be courageous. Be the human that this uniform came to find. And you know it.
That dude on the right was trying so hard to ignore her. But he couldn't because he knew that what she was saying is right. In Boone County, Missouri, between 1830 and 1864, of all the documented slave weddings, 75% of them were broken up due to one person being sold. A reminder that black love is revolutionary and that this country has a blood debt to pay. See, I wish I had hair so I could do stuff like this. But I can't carve Free Palestine into my bald head. And you remember those settlers that are in the habit of blocking aid trucks for Palestine? For Gaza, rather? This is what happened. One of them, that this is going to happen eventually, because if you know anything about truck drivers, they don't like you getting in their fucking way. But this happened. Finally, fucking finally, at long last. Does he really think that he's going to hold the truck back with his little skinny ass body? Honestly, they should have run over all these people on the first day. Several students and faculty were wearing keffiyeh scarves at the Morehouse College graduation, along with Congolese scarves. This is not funny. This is seriously unfunny.
Time to launch my GoFundMe.
So the Zionists always say that they are the real progressives on queer issues in the Middle East. And then they make this caricature. I don't know if this person is supposed to be a drag queen, a transgender person, but either way, it's grievously offensive. But they say that the Palestinians are the people who want to exterminate queer people. But this is how they portray us.
Me for Gaza. Voila.
And this person is identified as a talented Israeli animator. Like, this looks like something from 2002.
Oh my, they love me. Yes. It's go time. Fabulous.
Sometime after, deep in Gaza. How do you feel after getting to see Raza?
I feel on top of the world.
So, what script? Like, how long did it take you to write the fucking script? 30 seconds? Like, this... Yeah. I have no words. I have no words. Like, there is no vindicating factor for Israel. Like, they could say that, oh, we have a beautiful culture. We've made many contributions to the world. They're like, no. This is the fate of every Israeli. So this guy was one of the supposed coup plotters in the Congo. In Congo, I'm sorry, Congolese comrade. So this white dude, this white American rather, went to the Congo thinking that he was going to be fucking Roland the Thompson gunner, and it's a wonder he hasn't lost his head already. Like, there is nothing that makes my shriveled, withered, black heart gladder than the sight of a settler on the ground begging for mercy from black people. There's nothing that makes my heart gladder. Like, why would you do this? This is the noted Zionist-fascist Ben Gvir. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but this dude who was in a car wreck a month ago, and he goes to go hang out with some of his settler buddies. And they're not very fond of him, it seems. This is not the face of a country. This is a literal fucking government minister. This is not a country long for this world. You've got government ministers pulling guns on their own people. Look at him. He just whips out a fucking pistol.
יש אבנים, אתה נורמלי? יש פה אבנים, תעצור אותם, לא יזרקו עלינו אבנים ככה, אתה מפקיר את החיים שלנו. תראו בהם, אם זורקים אבנים יורים בהם. אם אתם החיים שלנו, רק תת בקלפי, רק תת. אם זורקים אבנים יורים בהם. איתמר, למה אתה שולף? סכנת חיים שלנו. איתמר, למה אתה שולף נשק? תעצרו אותם, זורקים אבנים. אתה רואה מה קורה כאן?
These people are fucking insane. Like, this country is not going to last another year. They're on the way for a fucking civil war. I've seen quite a few veterans and active servicemen who were pissed over the police murder of Robert Fortson, as they should be. So, will this lead to increased contradictions between the police and the military? Who knows? But you have this guy, Derek, who commands the 1st Special Operations Wing at Hurlburt Air Force Base in Florida. And he says that Airman Fortson was great before he came to us. Because in America, people see you as a veteran. Before people see you as a veteran as an airman in the United States Air Force, they always see you as a black man. And there were hundreds of Air Force members in their dress blues that came out to pay tribute to this guy who was murdered by the police. And it's not just black people. I see Latino people, I see white people, I see all types of people. So, who knows? A smart communist would know how to play on these contradictions. This is a prison in Titanian, north of Haiti's capital, Port-au-Prince, and a U.S. ambassador. What is a U.S. ambassador doing going around opening up prisons in foreign countries? I guess he's, like, it's just completely mask off in Haiti, huh? Like, most people think that an ambassador does nothing but attend cocktail parties and host stupid little cultural events. Like the Irish ambassador to the United States. They trot him or her out every St. Patrick's Day, and all the shamrocks, all the little green shit. Yeah, but like in the United States, our ambassadors to countries in Africa and in the Caribbean, like, no, this is what they do. They opened up a fucking prison. Boeing's Employee of the Year. Proud Boys and Israelis. These dudes are definitely fucking. Look at this guy's body language. I guess the Proud Boy here is the bottom. This fucking law student got addicted to cheese. This is so fascinating to me, but I'm not going to read this. the degeneracy of the colonizer. I don't think I should subject my poor innocent viewers to it. Resisting no matter what. So you've got amputees, you've got people whose arms are in slings, you've got people who have no legs, but they're still throwing down for their people because there's nothing else to do. Rock against LaRouche, run it back.
گرم باشه یعنی اینکه همه جون داره.
اون سمت راست بالا عوض کن.
نداره. سرده بدن سرده.
What is that? It looks like a router.
حرارت نداره؟ نه هیچ کدوم حرارت نداره.
نه سوخته متی. ببین این ملخ اینجاست. کابین سوخته کامل.
Oh, is that like a drone control little thing or something?
کابین سوخته.
I have more integrity than a lot of people. Saying I have more integrity than Dr. Phil is like saying that an eagle is bigger than an ant.
اونی که آره.
What Putin destroyed, Russia must pay to rebuild. So Congress is basically taking Russian assets in the United States, their sovereign wealth and sovereign assets, and they're using it to give to the Ukrainians. So the Ukrainians, foreigners in a foreign country, white people, are getting reparations before black people does. Like, did they seize Confederate assets and give them to black people? No. But because Russia is a longtime enemy of the United States, and because America loves nothing more than sticking fingers in Russia's eyes, is going to take their shit in the United States and give them away to Ukrainians. Again, like, they're showing how little they give a shit about us. Like, you haven't done shit for black people in the United States, but you're going to pay people in a foreign country with another foreign country's wealth that you have taken. Meantime, your own citizens suffer and die. Biden said that he wasn't going to use his Morehouse address for his campaign, and then he turns around and makes a campaign ad, which is basically the Morehouse speech. Why? Because fuck you. That's why.
George Floyd was murdered, and there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder if democracy you hear about actually works for you. What is democracy? If black men are being killed in the street.
This guy probably thinks like he's delivering a JFK quality speech or something.
What is democracy?
Something that doesn't exist in the United States.
Trail of broken promises still leave black communities behind. What is democracy?
Oh, hello, Brown Redgar.
Democracy.
Nice name you have.
You have to be 10
Wonder who inspired it.
times better than anyone else to get a fair shot. And most of all, what does it mean, as we've heard before, to be a black man who loves his country?
I don't know. I'm not a black man who loves my country.
Even if it doesn't love him back in equal measure.
That's a fool. That's called a fool. Why would you love something that doesn't love you?
When I sit behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office, in front of the fireplace across from my desk, I have two busts. One of Dr. King.
And one of Black Redgar.
One of Bobby Kennedy.
You have the guy who spied on Dr. King. Like, Bobby Kennedy literally fucking wiretapped MLK's phone. And you have the two, like, it'd be funny if they started talking to each other. Bobby, why did you spy on my phone, Bobby? You thought I was talking to prostitutes. I was really talking to my dear wife, Coretta. Well, I didn't know, Martin. I'm sorry.
I often find myself looking at those busts, making decisions.
I imagine you stared at many busts in your day, you old imbecile. I've become more and more convinced that Jean-Jacques Dessalines did nothing wrong every day. Apparently, Thomas Sankara was a fascist because he suppressed the National Union of African Teachers of Upper Volta, SNIAV, they called Sankara and his government fascists, and they called upon a wrecking-ass general strike and possibly a counter coup. So yeah, fuck that teachers union or whatever. But apparently because they said that he was a fascist, he was a fascist. People just throw out shit. Like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and people take shit like this seriously.
The last birthday he celebrated and will ever get to celebrate.
I love how Cori Bush has like retained her St. Louis accent.
Was his 18th. Just 81 days after his 18th birthday, a Ferguson police officer killed him. In a just world, Mike Brown would be with his loved ones right now, celebrating another year, dreaming of his future as he blows out the candles on his birthday cake. But instead, we are only left with the memories of who he was. Michael Brown's life was taken. It was taken from his mom, his dad, his friends, his siblings, his classmates.
If we must needs build a cult of personality around somebody in DSA, why not Cori Bush? I'm not just saying this because she's like, we're both from St. Louis, but like, she objectively has better politics than AOC. Like, AOC wants to be the Latina Nancy Pelosi. Cori Bush seems to, of course, she's still a sitting United States congressperson. She's not going to come out and say, long live the Palestinian resistance. But like,
and from every
she's still a shitload better than
they were all
than any of these other so-called squad members.
All left to live through the trauma police violence leaves in its wake. They were forced to go to school, to go to work, go get groceries, and live their lives after knowing someone they loved was killed. And they were forced to deal with the mental health effects of it on their own. Police killings of unarmed Black people are responsible for more than 50 million additional days of poor mental health days per year. It's devastating our communities, and it must be addressed. That's why, in Mike Brown's honor, alongside Mike's mother, Leslie McSpadden, I am reintroducing the Helping Families Heal Act, also known as the Mike Brown Bill. This legislation will provide crucial mental health support for victims, families, and communities harmed by police violence. It would fund these resources and bolster counseling in our schools. It's been nearly 10 years since the Ferguson uprising. 10 years since our movement for justice birthed an affirmative vision of community safety that focuses on saving lives instead of destroying them. That's why, in addition to helping families heal, we're working to pass My People's Response Act, which would advance an evidence-based public health approach to safety and so many other life-saving policies. Almost a decade has passed since we lost Mike Brown, but we're still on the front lines of the movement to save Black lives. And that's where we will remain until no more lives are taken by police violence and our children can celebrate each and every one of their birthdays. Happy birthday, Mike Brown. Rest in power.
Okay. Apparently Jamal Bowman, the guy who voted for the Iron Dome and also visited Israel and started a big fucking shit show about it a couple years ago, now is seeking New York City DSA's endorsement. Honestly, I would vote to not endorse him because no. Like, these people are embarrassments. They offer nothing to DSA. He wants free fucking labor. That's what he wants. He wants free labor, and he wants progressive credentials. This dude doesn't give a shit. He pulled a fire alarm, and now he's fucking cool. This is the Congo. Oh man, it's just a prank, bro.
Les forces armées de la République démocratique du Congo portent à la connaissance de l'opinion nationale et internationale qu'une tentative de coup d'État a été étouffée dans l'œuf par les forces.
Benjamin Ruben Zalman Poland. Apparently he's a cannabis entrepreneur.
Des défenses
That's what he gets for smoking that shit. He smoked that shit, now he woke up in the fucking Congo.
Et de sécurité. Cette tentative a impliqué des étrangers et des Congolais. Ces étrangers congolais ont été mis hors d'état de nuire, leurs chefs y compris. Les forces armées de la République démocratique du Congo demandent à la population de vaquer librement et tranquillement à ses occupations.
This says only me. It says only me.
Only you. If you're addicted to marijuana, you seek help, okay? Like, seriously. Because if you smoke the wrong shit, if you get the wrong shit, I am not implying that, like, I'm joking, okay? Like, you cannot get addicted to weed. You can become dependent on it, but, like, you cannot become chemically addicted to weed, to my knowledge. But if you own that shit, please seek help before you end up in a fucking mud-soaked, shitty ditch in Kinshasa, not knowing how you got there. I didn't know I would a coup. So yeah, be careful. Say no to drugs. They're bad for you. Peace.